Hi everyone. Today Salesforce Lightning Day 7. What are we going to focus today? We will just review the previous session of the Lightning Aura component, and we will talk about the implements in the Aura component. Force colon has a record ID interface, and we'll discuss about the attribute, one of the Aura component called Aura colon attribute, and how to refer the Aura colon attribute in the Lightning Aura component. We will see that. And next interface is flexible, available for all page type interface. Then we'll have a quiz, homework, and today interview session. So yesterday, quickly, what did we have? What did we discuss yesterday?
Lightning quick action, lightning quick action without header. With header page layout.
Yesterday we have discussed force colon lightning quick action, force colon lightning quick action without header, and the lightning input. Okay, quickly recap. Force has three components: app hostable, lightning quick action, and other one is lightning quick action without header, and then has record ID. Flexipage has available for all page type, and the second one is available for record home. And the third one, force community, has a component called available for all page type. So force, flexipage, force community are namespace. App hostable lightning quick action has record ID available for all page type, available for record. These all are lightning component. So force, inside the force, app hostable is lightning custom tab, and this is lightning quick action is for lightning quick action. Has record ID is to capture the record ID. Available for all page type is where it will be available for all the page types irrespective of the page in the lightning. Available for record home page, this interface will allow to add the component only in the lightning record page. Available for all page type, these components are available for community pages. So force is for tab, action, and ID. Flexi page is for the pages, and the force community is for the community. Now today our focus is on has record ID and also this one, flexi pages. These two we will be focusing today. Okay, first one, force colon has record ID interface. It is an interface. Use this interface to an Aura component. Inside the Aura component to capture the record ID of a current record. So we use this interface inside the Aura component. We will implement this interface in Aura component to capture the record ID. To capture what are the current record is there. For that current record, it will capture the record ID. Navigation steps on the developer console to create a Aura component with force colon has record ID interfaces, file, new, and lightning component. This is the screen we will see. Here, we will check the checkbox for the lightning record page. Lightning record page is for the force colon has record ID. What is the lightning tab?
To create it.
Which interface it uses?
App hostable.
App hostable.
App hostable, yes.
Which interface lightning quick action uses?
Lightning quick action.
Lightning quick action.
Lightning quick action. And then now we are seeing the lightning record page. Lightning record page is for the force colon has record ID. So we will check that. As soon as we check this and enter the name, description, and click on a submit. As soon as we click on a submit button, the new lightning Aura component is created with new interface. The first one is force:hasRecordId. That will create a force:hasRecordId. Along with that, it will also create a flexipage available for record home. It will use the two interfaces. When we check that checkbox, the Lightning Aura component is created with two interfaces, force:hasRecordId, flexipage available for record home. These two interfaces automatically added into the Aura component. Now, why this is going to add flexipage : available for home page, we will discuss that. Just hold on. And here in the Aura component, the starting, whenever we create a Lightning component, it starts with the Aura component and ends with /Aura component. And Aura component has an attribute called access. Aura component has attribute called access. So for Aura component, how many attributes we have discussed? Aura component, how many attributes?
Implements.
Implements, only one we have discussed, which is a implements in the Aura component. After the implement, we have another attribute called access. We have another attribute called access. So what is this access attribute? The access attribute is what level of access we are giving to the Lightning component. If somebody is referring this Lightning component, what level of access does this component has? Does this component has global or a public or a private? So whenever we create a force:hasRecordId, the component is created with a new interfaces, force:hasRecordId, flexipage : available for home, record home available for record home, and access attribute by default it sets as a global for hasRecordId interface. So global is nothing but it can be, this component can be accessible from anywhere within the org or outside of the org also. Anybody can call this component. If I say public here, if I say public, access has another one which is called public. Public means within the org, anybody, any other component call this component. If I say private, that means it is restricted to only this particular component. It cannot be shared within the org. Here global means everyone. Everyone means internal, inside org, organization, or outside of the org. Like external system, if somebody wants to call from the external system, or a community, if they wanted to call this, they can call. So I'll simply say external. Global means available for everybody. When I say private means any component within the org, within the Salesforce org. Any component within the Salesforce org is public. Private means nobody can call this component. That means in organization, in Salesforce, if I have a multiple component, so what will happen if anybody wants to call this component, if access equal to private, they cannot call this component because it's a private. When it is a private, nobody can call this component. So let me open the page. So for example, I have 3 components here, or 4 components. This is component 1. and component 2, component 3, component 4. All these components are inside my Salesforce organization. This is my Salesforce org. This is Salesforce. Inside this, we have written 4 components. Now, if I say component 1 access equal to global and component 2 access equal to private, public, access equal to private. Now, if component 4 wants to talk to component, they can call. They can call because access is global. If somebody from external system, that means somebody is talking to the Salesforce. Like for example, we have a page on the external system and this page is implemented through the Lightning component. So in that case, whatever in this page, the Lightning component is there, that can capture the information, or if they wanted to call this component, they can call it because it is available globally. Now, component 4 wants to talk to component 2. Yes, they can talk to it because it is a public. It says that if anybody is trying to call me component 2, yes, I'm available. But in case if component 4 wants to talk to private, then they cannot reach it. They cannot reach to component 3 because it's a private. Nobody can access this component. Nobody, even within the Salesforce org, nobody cannot access. Public means within the Salesforce org, if somebody wants to talk to this, yes, they can talk to it. Now, this is how the component gets created. Whenever we create a new component by checking that checkbox called lightning record page. So it will be created default aura colon component and end with aura colon component. And it adds the implements equal to flexipage available for home, for record home. Force colon hasRecordId. These two interfaces automatically adds access equal to global, means which is available. This is globally available. By default, whenever we are creating a new Lightning component for Lightning record page, by checking that checkbox, it will by default, it shows as a access equal to global. If you wanted to change this to public, you can change it. If you wanted to change this to private, you can change it. Now, okay. So let's go ahead and see this. Let me open the developer console. How do I open the Lightning component?
File, new.
File, new.
Lightning component.
Lightning component.
Lightning component LC underscore. Today we are using hasRecordId.
Record ID.
And what is the checkbox that I need to check here?
Lightning record page.
Check this and submit it.
Swapna, I'm having one question.
Yeah.
From org to org also, we can call this global component.
Yes.
Okay. By referencing the page.
Yes, but you need to link that component somewhere. It has to be implemented in structured way. You can call it. Global means anybody can call it.
Okay.
And the same org. Sorry.
Yeah, but you need to have a connection between the two org. First, you need to enable the connection. This Salesforce can talk to another Salesforce can talk to this Salesforce. The connection has to be implemented before you call the Lightning component.
And one more question. Can I put this access attribute for other interfaces, right? Like tab, quick
Yes.
action.
Yes, you can.
Okay, thanks. But how to make a connection? That will be covered on admin part or how?
That is a different topic altogether, the connection one.
Oh.
Not in the Lightning, we will have a separate session that is, it will be part of admin as well as the interface.
Okay, Swapna, thank you.
So that is will be integration, right?
Yeah, integration. Part will be in admin, part will be in integration.
For access equal global, if we have access equal private in the same org, we can use it among different records.
When you say different records means calling the
Different
same
record. Yes.
calling the
Yeah.
same component from account contact.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
you can do it. That you can do it. But if any other component, any other Lightning component want to call this private component, they cannot. But if you wanted to refer in the same Salesforce or you have a multiple places, if you wanted to use, you can use it. But whatever the data it is taking it here, it will be within this component 3. Either it will not pass or it will not take.
Okay, thank you.
Swapna, the
Yeah.
file names, are they case sensitive or we can give any in the developer console, you give the file names, right? The Lightning component. Are they case sensitive?
When you say where you are saying,
No, I mean, suppose if I name my file as capital ABC, okay, and now I want to create another file with small ABC. So is it
What is-
allowed or?
when you say file, are you talking about the creating Lightning component?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm creating here, I'm changing it.
Yeah.
Created, it doesn't matter, it will take it.
It will take it. So is there any specific, I mean, best practices that we have to, the naming convention usually start with capital letter or small letter or underscore, anything like that?
Yes,
Best
we
practices?
have discussed before starting the Lightning component program itself, we have discussed the naming rule.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, I'm not saying the naming rules. I mean, I'm saying, like, okay, now I'm creating a component for accounts. Okay, so like it should be something with account, capital A, account, underscore, what's the name of that component, something
That's
like
what
that.
we have
Anything
discussed.
specific is there?
That's what we have
Oh,
discussed.
okay.
What is the name should we have to give when we create a Lightning component?
Okay.
Okay, so whenever we create a new component, implements equal to flexipage available for record home, and also we have another interface which is called hasRecordId. So by default, it is taking the two interfaces. Now, what is this hasRecordId means? hasRecordId means you can access to capture the 18-digit ID. hasRecordId means whatever we have discussed so far. If I go to the account, whatever in the URL, we have a 18-digit ID. Right, that 18-digit ID we can capture using the interface called hasRecordId. Now, if I have to use this component, okay. For example, I wanted to add this component on this page. I wanted to add this component. What are the components that we have created? I wanted to add it here. So if I wanted to add before the activity, let's assume that here I wanted to add. So how can I add that component before the activity? Where should I need to go? If I wanted to change the
Edit page.
Edit
page,
Setup,
because
edit page.
we are making the changes on the Lightning page. Okay. So now this entire thing is loaded. Now what you have to do is here, components are different sections we have. What are these? One is standard component, which is provided by Salesforce. Second one is custom. Custom is nothing but developer has implemented something. Custom managed is, it's a different thing. Right now, we do not have anything. In case if you have any managed package or anything and they have implemented the custom, then those will be coming here. But right now, focus on the standard and custom. Standard is nothing but which is provided by Salesforce. Like this is related. Related is also Salesforce has provided. Related list single, related list quick action. These all are Salesforce standard components. Now custom component. Custom components, just now we have created a two. Just now we have created a two. One is LC underscore record ID. It is showing here, right? Now, in Aura component, if I remove this, does it appear here if I wanted to place it on the page? It's not appearing. In case you need a record ID to capture a component that you have implemented, okay? You have implemented a component and you wanted to place it somewhere here. In case if you wanted to place it here, you need that interface. Without that interface, we cannot even access this component. Though it has a hasRecordId interface, but you will not be able to access. So that's the reason whenever we create a Lightning Aura component with option called Lightning Record Page, it by default, it shows the implements flexipage : available per record home, force : hasRecordId. If these two are there, then only I can able to pull my component on the Lightning page. Now, LC underscore hasRecordId. Let me place it here before the activity I need it. Okay. Let's click on save. It's saved, activate. Changes are saved. No. Only first time you need to activate everything. Now, second time, if you are making the same changes on the same page. Yesterday, we made a changes yesterday and we activated this page. You remember yesterday we were doing the activation. Once it is active and if you are trying to keep on updating the same page, what will happen? It shows this option, remove as a org default. Now, if you wanted to make changes onto this, you can do it. Otherwise, you can close it. But whatever changes you made here will be applied. Now, we have written the Lightning component. Lightning component has been implemented. It is placed here. We cannot see that right now. But how do I capture it? We have written this component has record ID, the component, everything is there. But how do I capture the record ID? Now I want this 18-digit ID to be shown here. I wanted to show this 18-digit ID here. So before understanding how to display the 18-digit ID, how to show the record ID on the Lightning component, before we understand that, we have to learn something called Aura attribute. Aura attribute. Before I move on, any questions on the force : hasRecordId? Okay. So we need to understand the aura attribute. Aura attribute is a lightning aura component. What is the attribute here? So first of all, here aura is nothing but a namespace and attribute is a component. Now here attribute is nothing but a variable. Attribute is nothing but a variable. So if I use aura colon attribute, what will happen if I use this aura colon attribute? Describe an attribute available on the lightning aura component or lightning aura application or events. That means what kind of a variable declaration are we doing it? It describes the attribute available. What are the attributes are available either on the aura component or application or events. Right, so far we are just discussing about the aura component. So, and we have seen the application, I guess last week. So it will describe how many attributes are available on the lightning aura component. And there are few attributes within this aura colon attribute component, right? The attributes are access, whether this particular, whatever we are declaring this aura attribute variable. Access attribute declares whether this particular variable or this particular attribute is mandatory or not. Whether, sorry, it is available globally or not. Indicates whether the attribute can be used outside of its own namespace. If I say attribute and here access equal to global, that means I have a aura colon attribute component. It's a self-closed component. Here I have in this component, I have an attribute called access. If I say access equal to global, that means this particular attribute can be accessed outside of its own namespace. It can be accessed outside of its own namespace. Example, access public, access global, access private, right? So let's take a scenario. I have a 4 components, the one which we are discussing it. Okay, this is a parent component and this is child component. Now I have a parent component. Within that, I have a small child component here. Now, child component, the data is entered and clicked on a next button on the child component, right? Then it has to go back to the parent component. It will go back to the parent component. Again, parent component will come back to the child component. When parent component come back to the child component, it has to provide some information to the component 4, or when the child is done, when we click on next, child has to pass certain information to the component 2, or component 2 has to pass some information to the component 4. That means there are few variables which are either passing from the parent to child or passing from child to parent. So these variables should be public. Then only the child is able to access the certain attributes of the parent. So before I have here pick list, right? So now the question is, client says that whether this particular pick list should be shown or not. Let's say, okay, I have a parent component, I have a child component. On the parent component, I have a field called married. Okay, it says yes or no. Now here one field is there. The field is that how many kids. Now this is also checkbox, right? The married one is also checkbox. But if the user says married yes, then only this particular field should be shown on the child. If they say no, That means this field should not be shown on the child component. That means there is a value. What is the user has selected on the married field? This field has to pass to child. Then only there are certain fields based on this married. Yes, then it should show few fields. If it is married, no, then show another fields. So there is a dependency on the previous field on the parent component. So in this case, what will happen here on the child component, I have two sections. One is when it is married, show these fields, and when it is not married, show another fields. So that means I need a information. Child component is expecting some information from the parent component. Pass those information here. So when they are passing, what they will pass the variable, they will pass the attribute. So when they are passing the attribute has to be access public. Access has to be public. If you say access equal to private here, you cannot even send that information to the child component. You can say either public or you can say global. Either of one you can say it, that's fine. But private should not work in this scenario. So examples, access equal to public, access equal to global, access equal to private. Now another attribute which is we have, it's a mandatory attribute within the Aura colon attribute. The attribute name is name. Name of the attribute. What is the name of that particular variable? Name of the variable or name of the attribute. So example, name equal to first name. So this is the label name. So name is nothing but what is the attribute label name? What is the attribute name or what is the variable name? And the next one we have a type. Type is also required. We have a two attributes which are required. One is a name and the second one is a type. Type is nothing but what type of attribute is it? What type of attribute is it? That means when I am declaring a variable, for example, I am declaring a variable here, A equal to 10 and B equal to 5 or C equal to, I'll say, some name. So how this is variable declaration we'll call. But what type of a variable are this? How do I know? There has to be somebody has to mention here integer. A, that means this will accept only the numbers. Integer B, that means this will accept, this variable accept only the integer. If I say here string, that means this C variable accept only the string values. If I give here C equal to 5, then it will throw an error because my data type is string, but you are giving the integer here. So which is wrong. This is wrong. The declaration of this is wrong. So now in the lightning component, who will decide? It will be decided by the type. You will say type equal to. So Aura colon attribute and say access equal to public and then name equal to first name and then type equal to first name, usually the string. Now self-closed. This is how we declare in the lightning component. This is how we declare in the lightning component. Aura colon attribute, and inside that attributes are access, name, type. Access equal to public. You can say public or a global, whichever the one you wanted to say. You cannot say public, global. You cannot say this. Either you have to say public or a global or a private. Name equal to whatever the attribute name is there, just mention that name. Type equal to string, what are the type, whether it is data type, whether it is a string, integer, boolean, long, checkbox, radio option, what are the types are there, you can check that. Now, there are few more few more default. There is another one which is called default. Default is nothing but if you wanted to display a certain information by default, as soon as user lands onto the page. Okay, I wanted to show the object information. Okay, assume that whenever developer is logged into some application, immediately I wanted to show here some object name. By default, I wanted to show account in this text. Later, the developer can delete this and they can enter. But by default, I wanted to show some value here. So we can show that information using the default. And the next one is required. Required is whether this particular field is mandatory or whether this particular attribute is mandatory or not. Now I need this attribute mandatory. That means this attribute needs to have some value. That means this variable, whatever this variable is there, this variable has to have some value equal to first name equal to, it has to have some name onto it. So that means when my Lightning component is executing it, always this attributes while executing this Lightning component, if in the Lightning component or in the JavaScript or while executing the code, is there some place that is calling my attribute? Let's assume that there is a logic gets executed. If first name equal to Samskar ID, then do this. If first name is not, otherwise don't do anything. So this condition is there. So in that case, if first name equal to Samskar ID, I'm saying if first name equal to Samskar ID, then only execute this. Now, in case if this attribute does not have any value, there is no value associated to this attribute, in that case, it is going to fail because you are saying this attribute is required. This attribute is required. That means before you start executing any of the logic in the Lightning component, first make sure that this attribute has some value assigned to this particular attribute. Some value assigned to this particular attribute. Clear, everybody? Any questions on this attribute? And there is another one which we have a description. Description is what kind of a variable we are declaring or what kind of a attribute am I declaring it. It's kind of a summary of the attribute. Summary of the attribute. Now, how do we write it? This is the syntax. Aura : attribute, name equal to, mention some name here, type equal to data type, default, the default value if we wanted to show some value there. And the example, this is the example. Aura attribute, name equal to green, type equal to string, default is hello. Now, how this is going to show me this one? This one, it will show me output will be greeting and it has a default value called hello. Default value called hello and type is string. So this is how if you wanted to convert. String greeting is the variable name equal to hello in double quotes because this is a string. Aura attribute is a variable declaration. I'm not creating an input field here. I'm not creating an input field. Aura attribute is similar like a variable declaration. Variable declaration. Now let's see more in detail. Okay. So Aura attribute in the Lightning component. Now what I'll do in this is in the Apex or in Java, what are the language you take it? How do we declare it? Integer A equal to 20, integer B equal to 20, string C equal to Apollo. This is how I declare a variable. This is how I declare a variable. So integer string is nothing but these all are data types. Now A is nothing but variable. 20 is value. I am assigning a value to the variable. I am assigning integer value to the variable. And when we try to execute it, what will happen in the memory? There is a space is allocated for this A, and here the value gets stored here 20, right? In the memory. So here what I'm doing, I'm assigning an integer value to the variable. This is how we do in general for any language. Now, when it comes to the lightning component, aura attribute, how do I declare it? First, you need to declare the integer. That's what we write it in the other, whether it is Apex or any other. Integer is nothing but in Lightning type equal to integer. We have a type attribute, type equal to integer. Next, what is the one? A. I'm declaring a variable called A, which is nothing but name equal to A. Variable here, what I'm declaring? A. A is nothing but I'm declaring name equal to A. Name is a attribute. Attribute in the Lightning component called aura : attribute. And then I'm assigning a value here. There is a default value I'm assigning it. While initializing itself, I'm assigning the value. So while initializing the attribute, I'm assigning the value 20, default equal to 20. Then these all attributes sits inside the aura : attribute. Aura : attribute. Now here name is not, type is nothing but data type. Type equal to integer data type. Name is variable. Default equal to value. Data type variable value. So how you do this? This is how you do it in the other language, and this is how you do it in the Lightning. So integer, it goes into the type attribute. Variable declaration goes into the name attribute, and the value, the default assignment during the initialization of the variable, I'm assigning the default value, the same thing which we are doing it here also. And these all attributes sits inside the Lightning component called aura : attribute. Aura : attribute. It's a self-closed. Any questions? Anyone? Any questions? Okay, so let's move on. Let me go to the Lightning component. Now this is what we have created with the interface called force : hasRecordId and flexipage : available for home page, record home. Now here I wanted to declare it. Now before I do the declaration, let's go to the paint, file, new. Now normally how do we do it? This is Lightning. As soon as we create a Lightning component, there is a aura component creates here. Aura : component. And here we have a implements equal to force : hasRecordId, and also it has
Flexipage.
flexipage : what is the one?
Available for all pages.
Available for record.
Record home.
Not all pages. Available for record home. This is what we have. And at the end, the aura component gets closed. Now, till yesterday, within this, we were doing the kind of a Lightning card implementation and the Lightning input, whatever we have written, right? We have written the Lightning card logic. And also we have written Lightning input. This is what we have written. Now, where should
Ma'am, lightning card, lightning input, all those are also as a components, right?
Yeah, these all are components. So within this Aura component, we have written this component, lightning component. Lightning card and lightning input we have written. Now we are talking about the Aura colon attribute. We are talking about Aura colon attribute. Now, where should I need to declare a Aura attribute? That is the first question. Do I need to declare this block, what are the other components has here? Like after lightning card, after lightning input, do I need to declare it here or somewhere else? Before that, let me take you into the different direction. Assume that you are implementing a logic in C, where everybody is aware in C. So how do you declare it? Usually you declare integer. You have a logic. For example, logic is there, C equal to A plus B. Now, do you write a logic first or do you declare first?
Declare first.
Declare first. Declare.
Declare first.
Declaration or initialization done first. First, I need to initialize it. A equal to either you give a name or not, value or not. Let's assume I'm just declaring it here. Integer B. I need to have these values initialized, right? Before I do any logic. If I don't write this logic, if I write this logic after here, right? If I write this logic after the execution of this, what will happen? It is going to throw me an error when the logic is getting executed. First, it will execute this logic and then it finds that there is no A declaration is not there, B declaration is not there, then this is going to fail here. If you initialize after this function or after this logic. So the variable declaration has to be done before any logic execution, before I do any of the functionality. First, all this complete Apex class or this complete whatever the language you are doing it is divided into the two parts. One is where your variables are declared, and the second one is where all the logic is written, right? This logic is written. Maybe you are writing some UI input, some field you are declaring it here. But before that, you need to declare all the variables. So same thing here. In the Aura component, within the Aura component, there are two sections. The first one is declare all your attributes here. Declare all your attributes here. Aura colon attribute. And write anything you want. So declare all the attributes here, then start your actual, whatever the user interface input you wanted to implement or the buttons, anything you wanted to do it, everything do it in the second section. Is it clear?
Ma'am.
Yeah.
Can we declare Aura attribute within the lightning card also?
Ideally, that is not suggested. I'll show you that. Wait. If you declare this integer after C equal to A plus B, what will happen?
Rows or double.
Right. Now let me go to the lightning. Now, for example, I'm doing here Aura colon attribute. I'll say name equal to, I'll give greeting. Type is equal to string. And then here default equal to hello. Now I'll come to that point, lightning card with the, or attribute within the lightning card. But let's complete this. Okay, Aura attribute declaration is done. Now I have declared this everything, right? This is declared it. Now, in order to print, right? In order to print it, I need to access this variable. In order to print or in order to execute some logic, for example, I wanted to print A. Then I have to write here something called printf. Printf, then I'll write A. What will happen? It will print the value. Now, same thing, how do I print the attribute here? We have done with the declaration. We are done with the declaration, but how do I print the attribute? How do I print it?
Log.
Log. Hold on. So the printing one is, we use a syntax called merge field. Exclamation v dot attribute name. For printing the attribute, we use curly brace exclamation v dot attribute. In Visualforce page, whoever is there since first, in Visualforce page, if you wanted to access merge fields, how do you access it?
Curly braces. Object dot field name.
Object dot
field name.
field name. This is how we do it in the Visualforce. Now, in the Lightning, if you wanted to call our attribute, we use curly brace exclamation. What we use here is v dot. V dot, and you say attribute name. V dot, you will say attribute name. If your attribute name is a greetings, then v dot, here you will write greetings. Attributes are, how we call it in the merge field, we call that, but using the v dot. V is nothing but view. We are viewing the attribute in Lightning component. I am viewing the attribute value in Lightning component. So if you wanted to call the attribute in Lightning component, or if you wanted to print the value, so what we will do it, we use v dot attribute name. To refer the aura colon attribute Lightning aura component, we use v dot attribute name. V represents a view. We are viewing the attribute data or attribute value in Lightning component. Now, this is the example, aura attribute, let's say name equal to A and type equal to integer, default equal to 20. Now, in this case, how do I call it? Curly brace exclamation v dot A, because my attribute name is A. Clear? Any questions on this attribute, aura colon attribute, and how do we call?
Swapna, this will capture in log file when we put debug log or something. Is that will capture?
Yes, for that we need to write a different line of code.
Okay.
But you can print this on the UI, not the debug log, but you can print it.
Okay.
Now let's go ahead and see that. For example, here I have declared an attribute called greetings. Now I wanted to print that. Curly braces, exclamation, v dot, I'll give greetings. What is the value of the greeting here? Hello. Let's write more information. Hello. Welcome to Salesforce. Done. So let me go back to the Salesforce. Let's refresh. Is it printing here? Right. So what are the attribute value you wanted to print it onto the Lightning component or UI user interface? You can print it. You can print it. Also, if you wanted to print in the inspect, you can do it, but that has to be logic written in the JavaScript, not from the HTML. Okay, here the data is displaying, but it's showing something weird here. I wanted to add a card backside. I wanted to add lightning card. So let's go ahead and add the lightning card. How do we add the lightning card?
Colon card.
Lightning colon card, and in between that I wanted to print this. And let's add some footer and header for this. Let's say footer. Let's say card footer. How do I add header?
Title.
Equal to has a record ID. Let's save this. Refresh. Right? The card is added and we are printing the data on top of the card. Now back to the question, can I declare within the lightning card? You can. What is happening?
Just throwing error. Attribute name.
Invalid attribute. Fail to save invalid attribute. So can we add it in the lightning card? We cannot.
No.
Clear? No, but rather than thinking in that direction, the best practices for the lightning component is divide your section. Divide your section. This is if any of your experienced person is looking at your code. By looking at your code only, we can understand whether you have a proper experience or not. Because the members who has experience, they have a code in a proper structure. Proper structure, they will be there. So as soon as we see the component, everything will be captured. Where to go, how to go. So attribute section structure here, I'll say UI implementation. UI implementation. So here, if you divide this part, if you divide it, start of attribute structure, and this you will say end of attribute structure. Start of, I'll say lightning card here instead of UI implementation. And then I'll say at the end of this, end of lightning component. So what will happen? This gives the clarity. So experienced member, that's how we look at the code. Even when we are doing the code review, right? We have to submit our code to the senior members once we are done with the development. When the junior members are done with the development, immediately when the code reviewer person is definitely the experienced person. The moment he sees the code, I'm sure 99% or 90%, they can understand how good the person is writing the component, how good is writing in the coding, how good the person is in the coding. Right? So we have to always make sure, follow the proper structure, declare attribute everything in one section and do the lightning code or whatever you are doing the logic, you do it. If you declare the attribute here, and if you after that, after lightning card, you declare it here, what does that mean? And if you try to save again, right? If you try to save again the information, it will save, but does it look good here? It does not, because you are declaring one attribute, you are writing some logic, again you are declaring an attribute, again you are writing some logic. It does not give the clarity. But rather than doing this, everything declare it on top. Everything declare it on top so that you will have a clarity there. Okay, so it's saving. What happened? Okay, so right now the information is shown here. How we are showing the data from the attribute? How we are showing the attribute value?
By printing in UI, curly braces, exclamation v dot attribute name.
V dot attribute. Now the back to whatever we are discussing it. Back to whatever we are discussing it has record ID. Has record ID should be able to capture the record ID, the 18-digit of the record ID. How it is going to capture? You need not to declare any attribute for this. You need not to declare any attribute to capture the record ID. So how we do it? Curly braces, exclamation, v dot, just write here record ID. Now you might be saying it, you are writing a record ID here, but the attribute is not declared here. But the attribute is not declared. So how the lightning component is accepting the v dot at record ID, though we have not initialized any aura colon attribute. Now let me show you the output, then we will talk. Right, it is showing here the 18-digit record ID. Now what is happening here when I'm not declaring the attribute? How it is taking the value? Let's open. Okay. Now how this is taking it? As soon as the HTML is getting executed, it already took the 18-digit of the Salesforce. Whatever the record ID is there, it is already taken the 18-digit ID, and by default it is displaying here. That means before executing this element structure itself, the Salesforce has the ID, and when it is passing to the UI, it is passing as a hello, welcome to Salesforce 00123, whatever the ID is there. How it is doing it? So basically, force colon has record ID. What we are doing here, we are implements force colon has a record ID. What is this means? This is the interface. Basically, this is interface. Now, Salesforce has given us to use force colon has a record ID, but we don't know what happens at the backend when I use that force colon has record ID. What all things are getting executed, we don't know. Even we cannot see any performance issues or any delay when it is displaying the data. Now, what will happen? The first thing, when this component gets executed, when I click on this, or when I refresh the page, when I click on the refresh page, the first thing what happens, it takes entire logic, right? And inside the entire logic, First, it will check all the lines and whatever is there. And the second thing, it goes to the interface because we have written the implements. Inside the interface, we have three types of interface: force, namespace, and flexipage and community. Right, these three things are there. Now it will see what is the namespace. It is here. Force is there. Okay, this is the force. Now inside this force, what is the logic? What is the component that they have used? They have used hasRecordId. Force has a multiple component. Lightning quick action, app hostable, multiple are there. So which component they are using? They are using the hasRecordId component. Okay. Now within this hasRecordId, Salesforce has written a logic. Now, when you say hasRecordId, it will automatically has a logic where it is declared the attribute within the Salesforce. Within the Salesforce, the attribute is already declared it. This is the variable. It will convert this hasRecordId to the record ID attribute. There is a already attribute is declared behind this hasRecordId. Now, as soon as it finds there is no value here, there is no value here. It finds the record ID, no value is there. Now go back to the where they are placing the component on the page. It will go back to that page. And this is the page. In this page, what is the URL? Okay, this is the URL. Take that URL, bring that back and assign it to the record ID. And it will assign to the record ID and rest all information gets executed. It will pass back to the user interface. The entire output gets displayed. So that's what exactly here it is happening. Though we have not declared the attribute, because Salesforce is already handling the declaration of the attribute for the hasRecordId, we need not to worry about declaring the attribute for the v.recordId. Clear?
So we are just displaying with that, right?
Yes. We are just displaying that information. Break does not work here. Okay, so this is the same 18-digit ID it is displaying. If I copy this, Control C, Control F, and find it. So that's the same one it is displaying here. Any questions on the force colon has record ID, like aura colon attribute declaration? Force
Ma'am,
colon. Yeah.
regarding this attribute, what else we can do using this aura attribute? Here we just print the some text. Hello, welcome to Salesforce.
Mhm.
But that can be done using paragraph also, right? Paragraph tag also. But what is the special of this aura attribute?
Okay, so you have a logic that is written in the JavaScript. Okay, that is written in the JavaScript. Now you need to capture the user interface. Now you have a patient details information page is there. There is a page. That page has a certain information that you wanted to capture from the user. So how do we capture the first name, last name? What are the emails are there? How do you capture it? And pass it to the JavaScript. How do we do it? Do you have any other way to pass it to JavaScript or the Apex or the helper? So using the attribute, what we will do is whatever the user has entered here, need to store somewhere. I need to store some variable till it gets into the database. I need to store this information somewhere. User has entered this, to capture that and store it into some variable. User has entered this, capture it, store it into some place. And user has entered the email, capture and store it into one variable. And click on is submit. When I click on is submit, whatever these variables are there, now pass these variables to the either JavaScript or Apex or a database. Tell them that this is the data that I have received it from the user interface because these are the new information that we captured. That is one way. Another way, you are opening the existing record. The patient record is already there in the system. Patient record is already there in the system. You are capturing entire data kind of a, it's like a zigzag mode. You have a kind of a zigzag information that is coming from the Apex or coming from the JavaScript. Now you wanted to divide this separately because I have a table here to show entire data information. I need to first divide those values and display each one of them here. Now, you can do it in multiple ways, but one of the way is assume that you need to capture this information, first field information you need to capture, and that is in the parent. And you have a child component where the data is displayed here. Now, parent is capturing entire record here. Now, parent has to pass it from parent to child. Now, how do you pass it? First, this parent has to store some information somewhere. Otherwise, how it will pass it? Directly using the JavaScript, we can pass it. Might be we can pass it. But the good way is if you have the information in the attribute, you can store it. It's similarly like Visualforce. You are there in the Visualforce, right? So in the Visualforce, when you enter the data, how you are capturing that data? What is the necessary of variable? Why do we
It's
need a
storing the
variable?
data. It's declaring and storing the data.
Storing the data, same here. Declaring and storing the data temporary.
Your attribute also variable only, right? No?
Yes, attribute also variable.
Or variable.
Whoever doesn't know JavaScript, don't be get confused. It is similar like a variable. Like whatever the purpose that we have with the variable, same, the purpose is same for the attribute also. Why we are doing it here? Because we have not yet, so if I directly go and jump into the JavaScript helper and Apex class, people will be get confused. Now, what is v.greeting, how we are going into the controller, how I'm going to the Apex, everybody get confused. That's the reason what I'm doing it. I'm just showing a sample. Now, moving on, you will see very hard time.
Yeah, okay.
So whatever these sessions are there, initial session, these all are, I wanted to introduce how to do a coding. Okay, before I move on, anything on this, any questions related to whatever we have discussed right now? Okay, so next one is flexipage available for all page type. Flexipage available for all page type. This is basically to make component available for record pages and any other type of pages. This has more access if I use the interface called flexipage : available for all page types. If I use this interface, it has a more flexibility. Either I can use it in the record page or I can use it into the any of the other pages. And navigation steps, before I go on to the navigation steps into the Salesforce, how do we create a available for all pages in Lightning? File, Lightning component, which checkbox do we have to use it?
Lightning page.
LC underscore available for all pages. Okay, it has a available pages. It automatically creates it with the interface called flexipage : available for all page type. Access is by default global. You can change it if you wanted to change.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Like we are creating new components, right? Like available for all pages and previously you have created another component. So
Right.
all these should be included in the application, right? Like C colon. Do we need to keep those component in that in order to preview that?
Yes, you need to use it. C colon and the component name.
Okay. But you have done before also, no? For a before component.
What do you
Like
mean?
before
What do you mean by before component? We have already created a Lightning app. Shit. Okay. We have already created this star.app first Aura component. We did this, right? I think last week. Last week.
yes.
Yes. So same thing, if you wanted to call, you can call it, but record ID, you will not be able to capture. This record ID, you will be able to capture when you are in the Lightning experience and when you are in the account page. When you are in the account page. Now, yesterday we have created a quick action, right? You can use this hasRecordId on the quick action also. hasRecordId on the quick action also. So if I go to the Salesforce, if I click on this edit record, so what will happen? It's not showing. Let's save this. B.record ID. Let's give information here, account ID. Let's refresh the Lightning experience. And click on this record. And you see here it is coming. Until unless you are in this page, whatever action you do, whatever you perform, if you are in the any of the record, that means URL has a 18-digit ID, then only you will be able to capture the record ID. But if you wanted to use that /record ID on the app, you wanted to call this particular component from the Lightning application. Here, if you wanted to call, you can call it, but you will not get any output. You will not get any output because you are outside of the record.
Record, yes. Okay. So to capture record, we need to include that.
Yes, to capture the record ID.
Okay.
Okay, this is the interview question also. Why do we use hasRecordId? ID? So let's go back. Let's create a new Lightning component for the available for all pages. LC underscore available for all pages. Click on Lightning page, click on submit so that it will create a new component with the interface called flexipage : available for all page types. Access is global. If you wanted to change it, you can change it. Either you can use public or global or private based on your requirement, based on your client requirement. Now this is the page I have created, right? This is how we do it in the Lightning component. Now we are clear on this. Now, how do I add this Lightning component into the Salesforce Lightning experience? The steps are, you need to go to the apps, go to app manager, click on the new Lightning app. Here we have a new Lightning app. When you click on new Lightning app, you will see this screen. This is the screen you will see. And in this screen, there are 5 screens are there. This is the first screen. What are those screens? App, details, and branding. This is the first screen. And then we have a second one, which is called app options. We will see those. And the third one is utility items. Fourth one is navigation items. Then user profile. Then user profiles. Now let's go ahead and create Lightning app. Click on setup, click on this setup. And here type app. Click on the app manager. Now this is a screen you will see here. Here 2 options are there. 2 buttons are there. New Lightning app, new connected app. Don't worry about the new connected app. That is a different topic. We are focusing on the new Lightning app. So new Lightning app, when I click on this, what will happen? There is a app gets created. There is a app gets created. Before I move on, just focus on this below the table. Now I have an app name, developer name, description, last modified, and app type, whether it is a classic or a Lightning, and then visible. This is visible in Lightning experience or not. Now we have a standard apps also and the custom one also. We can see everything here. 2 type of app managers here. One is standard and the second one is custom. Standard is nothing but the one which Salesforce is provided is called as a standard. Custom is the one the developer or the admin team is creating based on the client requirement is called as a custom app. Now these all are standard one, right? Whatever we can see here, marketing, sales, and here sales is there are 2 types of app managers. Sales for the classic, sales for the Lightning. See here, app type, it says classic, visible in the Lightning experience. No, this is visible only in the classic. Lightning has a separate styling. Lightning has separate view. And sales console is also there. This is another one, Lightning sales console. And this is for the sales represent work, multiple records. So this is also provided by the Salesforce. Like this, we have a different apps are there. And gear icon, if you click on this, you will see list view controllers, but nothing is, you can, right now you cannot do, only one option is there in the list view controllers. In admin, we have seen the list view controller. Where did we see the list view controller in admin?
In record, gear icon.
Besides the object.
On the object, when we go to the object, when we click on here, any of the object, here, when we click on the gear icon, we see the list view controllers. Here, different options. That's what we have discussed in the admin class. Now, this page has only one option, which is called as a reset column width. That means, for example, this is not visible. What is the name of it? So what you will do, you will adjust this and you will increase it to see what is the value is there. Then you made a changes onto the table. You made this one is smaller and this is a bigger. So what will happen immediately? It will ask you a reset column width. Do you want it to reset back to the whatever it was there? If you click on that here, then it will reset it back. Now, new Lightning app. So there are 5 screens are there. This is the app details and branding. The second one is a app options. Third one is a utility items. Fourth one is a navigation items. User profile. User profile. App details and branding is nothing but you are mentioning your app name. You are mentioning about app name. I'll say that Samskara IT. This is my app name, Samskara IT. As soon as I give the app name, by default, the developer name will be displayed. That means developer name is a API, app name is Samskara IT. Then you mention here the description. This app used for Samskara IT project. I'll say this description. Now, by default, app branding, by default, it's a blue color. You see here the branding. What are the branding do you see here? So by default, this will be applied the primary color. But in case if you wanted to upload any image from you in your system, you wanted to upload some images, you can upload it. You can upload the image, whatever you wanted. So this is the image I wanted to show. If you do not want this, you can clear it. So the first page is all about the app information, logo, the branding information, app information, branding and logo information. Here theme, use the app's image and color instead of the org custom theme. In case if you wanted to use your own, you can use it. For now, I'm going with whatever the org's custom theme is there. So it is giving me how it will be displayed. So this is how it is displayed when I'm done with it. Right? The first one is app details and branding. Now the next one is app options. If I click on app options, this basically two things. What is the style? Which all are places you wanted to see? What is the place and what are the places that you wanted to see? And what is the navigation style or setup, everything? How do you wanted to do it? So if you wanted to see only in the desktop, not on the phone, select this. Now I wanted desktop phone together, then select this. Standard navigation or console navigation. You can choose standard navigation or a console navigation. If you choose the console navigation, that is also provided by the Salesforce. Now let's go with the console navigation. Let's see how it looks like. Now this is setup experience. Do you want a setup, full setup options or a service setup? That means you wanted to see only few experience setups. Let's go for full setup. App personalization setting. Disable end user personalization of the navigation item in this app. I don't want to disable the user. Clear workspace tab for the each new console. No, I don't want to do it. Now, second one is app options. Now let's go on to the third one. Third one is utility items, desktop only. Now here you see that give your users quick access to the productivity tool and add background utility items to your apps. Now, for example, if you do not want to make, if you wanted to use the existing one, right, you can use it. What it says here, the utility bar is fixed footer that opens the component in doc pan, available only when the app is viewed in Lightning experience on desktop. To enable the utility bar of this app, add a utility item. Here there are two buttons are there. Add a utility item, or you go with the this is the default one, utility bar alignment. If you want utility bar alignment default or mirrored, you can keep it. Mirror means let's put it as a mirror. Now add a utility item. Utility items are three types again: standard, custom, custom managed. Whatever we have seen in the edit page, Lightning edit page. If you want any of this, you can choose it. If you want, you can choose any of this. Custom, if you need a custom will be available if your component is implemented using the interface called flexipage : available for all pages. If you have implemented a Lightning component with that interface, then only the component will appear here. Otherwise, you will not see the component. Otherwise, you will not see the component. Now, let's say that you do not want to apply it. That's okay. You can click on a next button. There is no mandatory field. No, I wanted to apply it. After reaching here, I felt that maybe I should apply my component. So what I'll do is I cannot click on this. I have to click on the back button. When I click on the back button, click on the add utility and take your Lightning component that you have implemented. So this is your component. This is your component where we have created it using the interface called flexipage : available for all pages. Now you can decide it what is the label you wanted and what is the icon, panel width, panel height, start automatically. You can decide it. If you wanted to reorder, right now it is a disable. If you wanted to remove it, you can remove. If you remove it, it will be by default. Now let's take again. Right, so this is what I have given. Click on the next one. Next one is navigation items. What are the objects that you wanted to see? I wanted to see account object and I wanted to see, let's say, contact object. Let me give only these two. Click on next. Now, account and contact, workspace tab or sub tabs, how you want it. Now let's select it as a subtypes. That means like this, it will display. If it is a workspace, means normal, how it is there in the object. Like if you wanted to go to contact, you have to click on the contact. If you want to go to the accounts, you have to click on this. Right, so let's go with the workspace tab and click on next. This is the final one. Final one is user profiles. Who all can see this? So what I'll do is only system administrator. I don't want any other. I'll give system administrator. And then done. Save and finish. Save and finish. Now, how many are there? Pages. First one.
First one, app details and branding. App details.
App details and branding.
Options. App options.
App options.
Utility items.
Utility items.
Navigation items. User profiles.
Okay, so what are the information present in the app details and branding? What are the information that we have to mention?
Name, API name, and the description.
Brand name.
Logos
and branding.
Images. So app name, app description, logo, we have to mention. App options. App options.
Standard, custom.
Desktop or laptop. Where can I see that information? Navigation. Whether the standard navigation or a console navigation. These information.
And service, all setup, service setup.
Yes. And next, utility items.
Standard utility, custom managed.
custom, and you can choose your lightning component here. In order to choose your lightning component, what we have to include in the component? What do we have to include in the component? If I wanted to add my lightning component in the utility items, what needs to be there? Which interface needs to be there in the lightning component?
I mean, flexipage available for all page.
Flexipage, we have to use the interface called flexipage
Available for all page types.
All pages. Navigation items.
Tabs which you want to, objects. Which objects you want to see?
Mention.
See, yeah.
Profile.
Who all can watch them?
Who all can see? Now these are the 5. Let's click on save and finish. Okay, so this is the one we created on 121. Lightning available. And here arrow mark, if you wanted to edit it, you can edit. If you wanted to delete, you can delete it. Now, once we create this, we have already created this, right? Once it is done, where can we see that? Click on this app launcher. Click on this app launcher and click on view all. Click on view all. Now, here it is. The Samskara IT, right? The app is available Samskara IT. We have only account and a contact. We have only account and contact. If you wanted to edit it, click on this edit. It will, if you wanted to add more items, you can add it. Right? Let's assume that this is already implemented. Now I wanted to change logo here. So what I'll do is I have to go to the setup. Click on app manager. Go to that specific Lightning app. Where is it? Samskara IT. Click on that arrow one and click on edit. It will bring you back to these all 5 screens. If you do not want, change it clear. If you wanted to make any changes into the app option, just confirm. If you wanted to make any changes, you can change it. App option, you cannot, this navigation items, you cannot change it. Setup experience is possible and desktop is possible. This is possible. But the thing is that navigation styles only available during the creation of app page. Utility items. In case if you wanted to remove it and you wanted to use the existing one, you can use it. Cancel. Navigation item. Here we have account and contacts. If you wanted to add more object, you can add. For example, I wanted to add lead as well. So click on this, select that, move it to the selected item, click on save. Now, navigation rule, workspace tab. Right now, if I give sub tab, let's say this user profile. No, that is the profile I want. Okay, that's all I need. And what I want is, I just wanted to refresh this Lightning experience application Samskara IT. Now we can see here 3 are there. If I open this Infosys, right? If I open the contact, what is happening? It is opening in the subsection. Now, if I go back to the Infosys and if I try to open lead, or if I try to open another one, what is happening? The parent is a normal and then all the subs are opening here. Now, if I try to open the history, everything will be in the sub tab. Now, if you wanted to close, you have to close the main one. Now, automatically, this is changed into the split view, but I did not change to split view. It was a table view. What I did, I just clicked on the Infosys. As soon as I clicked on Infosys, automatically the styling got changed because we have selected this sub option. Where did we selected that? Navigation item, navigation rule, sub tab off. Now, if you click on save workspace tab, let's refresh. Close this. Details related CEO. Still it is opening. It also matters with the console navigation. This is the navigation that is applied. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so what are the things that we have learned so far in the interfaces from last few sessions? Yes. What are things we have learned in last few sessions in the interface?
App hostable for tabs, lightning QuickAction
Force app hostable.
has record ID for display, capture record ID.
Quick action.
Force colon has recorded ID.
So the first one which we have seen, force colon app hostable. So if we wanted to implement a tab on Salesforce Lightning experience, so we have to create a component using this interface to implement a tab on the Salesforce Lightning experience. Force colon lightning quick action, create a component using this interface to implement a quick action on the object. Force colon lightning quick action without header, create a component using this interface to implement quick action on the object without header and footer. Force colon has record ID, create a component using this interface to capture the record ID on the Lightning Aura component. Flexipage colon available for record home, create a component using this interface in record home page if you wanted to add a component in the record home page in Lightning experience. Flexipage colon available for all types, create a component using this interface to use the Lightning pages on the Lightning app builder. Clear? Any questions? Okay. Force colon has record ID interface used for
In order to capture
a record.
Capturing the record.
To capture a record ID.
Capture the record ID.
to capture a record ID of the current record. Aura attribute, Lightning Aura component syntax. What is the syntax for the Aura attribute?
Aura colon attribute.
Aura colon attribute. Then
Name equals name and the type.
Type.
Default
Name
one.
type. Name type.
Default one.
So syntax is Aura colon attribute, name equal to, mention the name of the attribute, type equal to data type, value, default equal to default value. And this is the homework. In the homework, it is continuing the yesterday one, but only the difference is you have to show the account ID here. Okay, so homework is implement enter first name. Before that, show the text hello, welcome to Salesforce, and your account ID is show whatever the ID is there. Enter last name, email, date to visit, attachment. Any questions on the homework? Okay. So,
Ma'am,
yeah,
the aura attribute can be used in other interfaces also, not only in.
yes, yes.
Okay.
If you are implementing a component, if you need a variable, you should use the aura attribute.
Okay.
Okay, this is the trial head link. Let me ping you guys. One day we will be doing the trial head in the class. So that is another session we are going to have it. But today's homework for trial head is this is the one.
Swapna?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I have a question. Now see, we have implemented this flexipage, right? Flexipage available for all page types.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see this file in the Lightning app builder.
Mhm.
Okay. So what is the purpose of that? I mean, it's available there also, and it's available when we create the app manager also, right? But I'm not able to add this component from the Lightning web page. So if I have to add this component, I have to only use the app manager and include it, correct? So this is only utility app. It's not a component, correct?
You are talking about
What
available
is the
for all
I
page
did
type.
not get it. Yeah.
Available for
Yeah,
all
yeah.
page type is nothing, but if you go to the edit page, the record page, you can add it there also. You can all add it in the all the pages. That means it has a more flexible.
Can you
It has a more
can
flexible.
you just show me how
It
how
has
I
a
can
more
add this one?
flexibility whether you go for the Infosys and if you open the record, ideally what we were having only the hasRecordId was having. What was the interface it was having? Flexipage : available for record home.
all available for all page types.
So whatever we have added, it was a record home. Now, when we say all page is nothing but whatever the page it might be, you will be able to add it. You will be able to add it. Right now, we have not written anything. So it is empty. Now you can click on save and you can activate it.
Okay.
Now it go back. Available for all pages is nothing but page type is nothing but whatever the page you take in the Lightning experience, everywhere it has a access.
Okay. Thanks.
Ma'am, Smarta, what is about the force community?
That is the community, which is a different topic from the Salesforce. Basically, we'll have a partner community and user community. There are different type of communities out there, which is dedicated for the internal team where they are not touching the Salesforce. They will be using the different platform.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, previously you told me that you have a force and flexipage and force community 3, right?
Yes.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So force community, we will not be discussing right now. When we do the communities, that time we will discuss.
Okay. I had a doubt like for the string for component record ID and available for all page types, like without including in hello.
Yeah, without including. Now let's say I have this, right? So whatever the hasRecordId was there previously. So what I'll do, I'll copy this entire thing and I'll use it into the available for all page types. Available for all page types. I'm using it here. You can use the hasRecordId with all available for all page types. Also, you can use the hasRecordId with available for record home. You can also use the hasRecordId with quick action without header, right? You can use it because these are the one which will be directly, we are using onto the record. When we use onto the record, we are onto the ID, we are onto the record. That means there is a ID access is there on the URL ID is there. So definitely the information gets shown. There is a no restriction that if I'm using this particular interface that I should not use the other one. It's not like that. It's all based on your client requirement. Okay, we are done with the session. If there are no questions, thank you.
Hi all. Tomorrow we don't have the session. I thought of taking resume building session, but we are